How you can invest in bonds in Nigeria. In this short video, I'm going to be explaining how bonds actually work and why your bank, who are licensed stockbrokers, have never sold it to you, even though most billionaires know that bonds are actually a great tool for wealth preservation. Now, tell me why this licensed stockbroker who you bank with have never told you to come and buy bonds, especially the FGN savings bond, which has been designed for low income earners. There are different types of bond based on who is issuing it, the duration, the currency, and the purpose for that bond. A big example is a dollar denominated bond issued by the federal government of Nigeria for a 10-year period with a minimum starting amount to be $200,000. Now let's look at what are bonds and the licensed stockbrokers that can help you trade bonds in Nigeria. What are bonds? When you buy a bond, you are subscribing to the offer of lending your money to the federal government or the corporate entity in return for an interest being paid on that money per quarter or semi-annually till maturity when you get back your principal or capital invested. Now, this bond we're talking about is not the bond in chemistry, neither the bond between a man and a woman. It is bonds in finance. And bonds in finance are actually known as debt instruments issued to raise money for corporate bodies for the federal government to finance certain activities. Now, this reminds me of a passage in the Bible that says, "You shall lend to many nations, but you shall borrow from none." Which is why I'm bringing this offer to you. Why should you lend to the federal government? Is the federal government already in debt to China, to US? If you give them your money, is it actually safe? This should be what is going on in your head as you're watching this video, and I'm going to be answering all of that. Now, the Debt Management Office, DMO, was actually established in October 2000, on the 4th of October 2000. Now, when it comes to debt, every country is actually in it, and Nigeria is no news. So don't say because we're in a T-pain economy and you're thinking that if you lend your money to the federal government, you won't see it again. Every country is actually in debt. Let me even shock you. The US is in debt of $34 trillion as at 2023. Japan is actually in debt of $9.16 trillion as at 2023. And Nigeria, $91.4 billion. I would like to emphasize that trillions are actually bigger than billions. If the US government is in debt of $34 trillion, and Japan is in debt of $9.16 trillion, then what is Nigeria's $91 billion for you to be scared of? Our focus is on FGN savings bond, which is within 2 to 3 years. If you are someone that wants to keep your money for marriage purpose, to buy a land, or for whatever reason you want to lock up your money, or you don't want to leave it in a bank, this is your best bet. Now, with the FGN savings bond for 2 and 3 years, if you're going to be investing now in this December at the rate of 17%, your 10 million naira would be worth 3.4 million naira at the end of 2 years in interest. So your 10 million naira automatically becomes 13.4 million naira at the end of 2 years. Now, this 3.4 million naira is actually split. The first year, which is 1.7 million, you are going to get a fraction, a quarter of 1.7 million paid to you every quarter of the year till maturity. Does that make sense? If you're going with the 3-year bond, 10% per annum, it means that if you invest 10 million naira in this particular offer, you will be coming out with 5.4 million naira in interest, meaning that at the end of 3 years, your 10 million naira automatically becomes 15.4 million naira. Now, your 5.4 million naira, which is that interest paid to you for investing your capital, 10 million naira. The benefit of investing in the FGN savings bond is, number one, you can start with a minimum of 5,000 naira and the maximum is 50 million naira. Number two, it is low risk, meaning that you are going to get your money back with no stories asked, because you are believing in the full faith of the federal government that even if they are about to default, because when the government does not pay you back the money owed to you as an investor or as a bond holder, it is seen as a default. Less likely for the government to default on paying you back your interest and your capital because they can easily print more money. And yes, this can spike up inflation, but you're sure that your money is going to return back to you, right? Now, three is that you can save, you can use it to save up for your retirement or for any fixed goal that you have. So who are the licensed stockbrokers that you can buy bonds with? We have Carry Wise Securities, we have FBN Securities Limited, we have Stanbic IBTC Broker, we have Chapel Hill Denham. There's going to be a link in the description box for you to actually look at the list of licensed stockbrokers and take your pick on who you are going to start buying bonds today. But if you want someone to hold you by the hand and coach you on the different investment offers that you can start today as a Nigerian investor, you can reach out to me through the link in my bio and we can schedule a coaching session for you tailored to your needs. Opportunity, especially the FGN savings bond.